Hi, my name's Tom Hill, Technical Director at UC&C. What I want to do today is to give an overview of our Unified Communications web portal, the OpenScape web client. I'm just going to log in to my account here. And if I just start with a couple of the fundamentals of Unified Communications, the first being what we call presence. And we can change and select our presence from this menu here. What this enables us to do is to set a status that our colleagues can see and then make decisions based on who is best for them to communicate with. My status is set as busy at the moment, and my colleagues will be able to see that. The next key element of Unified Communications is what we call a feature called One Number, and part of this is setting your preferred device. So I publish one number on my business cards and email signatures, and I'm able to then select on this list when somebody rings that number, what device should that go to? What should ring? So currently my mobile set. So if anybody rings me on my landline, my business number, it will go straight to my mobile. But I could send that call straight to voicemail, or straight to my office phone, or a colleague's office phone, or even a temporary hotel room phone, or a landline, say a BT landline. Okay, so they're the two fundamental features, but Unified Communications goes much further than that. And if I just explain the other features available within this interface, starting at the top left here, we have a flashing icon here that's telling me that there's something to look at, whether that be a missed call or a voicemail, or even a colleague's asking to be able to see my presence and add me to their contacts list, or vice versa. So here we can see that there's actually a voicemail. So voicemail is one of the great features. It's really easy to use. There's no dialing, putting in PIN numbers and having to press 1 for this and 2 for that and listening to the prompts. I've got a voicemail here, and I can very, very quickly play that voicemail straight via the browser if I've got headphones plugged in, or if I've got a set of speakers, or if I was in maybe an office with colleagues and I didn't want to interrupt everybody, or potentially it was a private voicemail, I didn't have headphones, I could actually get that to play back over my desk phone, but without having to press all those prompts and enter passwords and things like that. I literally just press the play button, lift the receiver, and listen to that message. And the same goes for deleting. I can just hit the delete button. I don't need to go through those menu options. Okay, moving on from there, we have this input box at the top left, and here I can very quickly just put a colleague's name in, hit return, and that will first of all, it'll dial me on my preferred device again. Currently set as my mobile, but it could be a desk phone, for example. This is actually a desk phone at the desk I'm at now. So if I was to dial Jeff, it would dial me. I want to dial Jeff on his business phone. My phone, I'll cancel the call, but my phone rings here, I answer, and then it rings Jeff on the other side and connects the call. Equally, it doesn't have to be somebody who's in my contact list. I can actually just put a phone number in here and press return and do the same thing. Moving on, I've got my contact list here, and just referring back to the presence, I can actually see the presence of my colleagues. So Alicia here has got her presence as Be Right Back. Donald's in a meeting, but Jeff's available. So if I had say a query that either Donald or Jeff could answer, right now I would choose to ask Jeff because he's available. I can see that he's available to talk to using instant messaging, and I can click to chat, send Jeff a message, hi Jeff. I could also click to email him, and this will load my default email application, which is here is Outlook, but it could be Gmail, it could be another application. Or I could also click to dial, and as soon as I click this click to dial button, it'll ring me again on my preferred device, and then it'll ring Jeff and it'll connect that call. The other thing I can do here, which is really powerful, is I can say, okay, no, the only person I need to speak to is Donald. This is a question for Donald, but I need to know when he's available. So I can set tell me when Donald's presence availability changes to available, and I want to be notified. I could be notified by a screen pop-up, or I could have, as soon as he's available, the system could then ring me on my preferred device and ring Donald on his preferred device, or notify me via an email. So I'm going to set to be notified via a screen pop this time, and I need to know, but this question's only really valid for the next hour. So let's say for the next hour. Okay, so within the next hour, if Donald's presence changes to available, I'll get a screen pop up that tells me that and alerts me to that fact, and then I can either make the call if I still need to ask the question, or make that decision then. Okay, so moving down, what we've got here is a very simple journal. It shows me all of my inbound and outbound calls. Even that quick test call I just made there, I can see it was unanswered. It was outbound to Jeff. I can see the time and date of the call, the number dialed. And inbound calls are perhaps more useful. I can see an inbound call there, which was earlier today. It lasted 13 seconds. And this is the number it was from. I can click to call that straight away. And again, that will call me on my preferred device, call this number here, and then it will connect that call. Really easy to do. And I can add that number to my address book very quickly as well, so that next time I can pick that out of my address book, or when they dial me and the screen pop shows me that there's an inbound call, I can actually see who's calling. Just one thing back on the contact screen, actually, the telephone here that's green, that shows that that call, that person is not on the phone at the moment. Although Donald may be in a meeting, you can see he's not on the phone, so he's perhaps not available because he's in a meeting. If he was on the phone, or if Jeff was on the phone, for example, that would turn orange. Okay, this at the bottom right here is a directory search. This is where we can, if I worked in a large organisation with hundreds or maybe even thousands of colleagues, they wouldn't necessarily all be my direct contacts, but I could search for a certain person, a certain job role, a department, and get the details of the person I needed to speak to that way. The next area at the top right here is conferences, and this is really, really powerful, because unlike a lot of systems where you would have to invest or subscribe to a third-party conference bridge service, every unified communications user can actually create conference bridges themselves on the fly. And I've got a couple here that I've created. This second one was just a test, but if we open that, let's modify that selected conference. You can see at the top I've called it sales meeting. Now that's quite useful, because what the system will do is when people dial into that conference bridge, it will use text to speech to announce the name of that conference. And you can see I've got all the participants here, and I can add people. I can add people very quickly to this conference call. You can see there's a PIN number here and a bridge number. I could actually change that PIN number if I wanted. And I can email all of these participants this detail of the phone number to ring and the PIN number, and then I can add, this is a weekly conference call, Monday morning at 9 o'clock. And another thing I can actually do is I can set whether the system will dial each of these people when I start the conference call, or whether those people can dial into the system. And you can see that with these arrows here. So for example, Donald's currently set that he'll dial in, but I might change that. I might want the system to dial Donald when I start the call. But we have a consultant on the call here as a test, if you like, as an example. And I want the consultant to dial in, because he might not be available, and I don't want to bother him. So I'll let him dial in at his convenience, but I'll send him all the details in an email. So that's really powerful. So if you're ever waiting for people to get on a conference bridge, you can actually set it up so that the system dials them and gets things started much quicker. I can also set this as an open conference, which means that my colleagues that are also unified communications users are able to mute other people, or I can set that so it's not an open conference. So you've got a moderator and a participant style setup. I can set it so that everybody can record the name, which is quite important. When people join, the system will announce. So for example, Tom Hill has joined the conference. But more importantly, if they were to leave, say they were on a mobile phone or got disconnected, you'd actually be announced that they'd left the conference. And we can upgrade this to a video conference or even a web conference, so that we can share our screens, share applications. Perhaps in this example with a sales meeting, we might be working on a presentation or a proposal or a pitch to a potential client. Okay, I'll just apply that detail and I will save that as a conference bridge there. So that's now ready for people to dial the conference bridge number and put in the PIN number, and then we would all be in the same conference bridge. Okay, so there's one last thing I want to show you here, and that's rules. Now rules are quite complex, but they're very powerful as well. You may be familiar with rules within Outlook, where you can say, so if a certain person emails, I want it to go to a certain folder, or if the subject line contains something like action required, flag this, or there's all various different rules you can do. Well, this is quite similar, but this isn't for your email. This is actually for your voice calls. So you may want to say, if you may set up, so if my status is busy, send all calls to voicemail. Or it could be if it's busy, send all calls to a PA, for example. But you may want to set up another rule that says if the call is from my wife, for example, always put that straight through to my mobile. And you can also add time and date to this as well. So if somebody rings me, call from anywhere, or you could be specific, but if a call, say, is from a specific customer during the weekend, send it through to my mobile, but for everybody else, send it through to voicemail. Or perhaps you've got a support number that you need to be able to answer, but you don't want to answer calls from anybody over the weekend, or something similar scenario than that. And you can build these rules up, and build them up into profiles. So you may have a profile when your PA is working, in a profile for when she's on holiday, or for when you're on holiday. So different calls and different destinations at different times. And that's a quick overview of the Unified Communications portal. Thank you for listening and watching.